The most greetings and welcome to the London Queen's Club in West Kensington. Steeped in history, the Cinch Championships is an annual event on the ATP Tour and one of the most popular and longest running events. Each June, this tournament consistently supports the world's best men's players since 1979. And when you look at the illustrious roll of honour board, you see previous champions including John McEnroe, Leighton Hewitt, Rafael Nadal and Andy Murray, Feliciano Lopez. It's quarterfinals Friday today, and we're focusing on the Uniqlo men's wheelchair event. Britain's own Alfie Hewitt, one of 4 British players this year, challenging for the men's singles title, signifying the opening of the short grass season for the world's very best wheelchair players, climaxing, of course, at Wimbledon, the 3rd Grand Slam of the season. We're looking at the second seed here, Stéphane Houday, the salty old sea dog from France. He's been playing for a lot of years, 51 years of age, terrific player and very decorated. And this is the 4th hosting of the wheelchair tennis event at Queen's Club, which first started as an exhibition tournament in 2018, which was won by Stefan Olsson. And then the following year, 2019, it became a first official fully fledged grass court world ranking tournament taking place outside of Wimbledon. Won by Alfie Hewitt in an all British final against Gordon Reid. It was Gordon Reid who won better to take the last year's title against Gustavo Fernandez, but both Reid and Fernandez elected to sit out of this one pre-Wimbledon for different reasons. So our first match is Thomas Dodds here from South Africa, getting into his sports chair. He's 32 years of age, world ranked 393rd in the world. He takes on Stéphane Houday right down at the bottom of the draw. And he's just getting all creamed up with sun protection, no doubt. Very, very warm day here in London, 33 degrees or so, the temperature spiking towards the middle of the afternoon, no doubt. Mercury rising pretty fast. Paul Hand is your commentator for the day, alongside me, Anna Smith. Great to be working with you again, Anna. So our players ready to go. Stéphane Houday in the grey as the second seed, already against his opponent today, Thomas Dodds from South Africa, who lives in London. Bit of breeze locally. So the coin toss done and dusted. Couldn't quite lip read what was going to happen, but I think that Thomas Dodds won the spin, but I don't know what he elected to do. It'll all unravel in time. But this esteemed Frenchman is now the current world number 5, former world number 1 back in June 2012. Remarkably, he's had 615 career match wins, 215 losses, Stéphane Houday. His opponent on a tour level, 2-11, which is a remarkable difference in experience. So there is a gulf in that regard. Stéphane Houday, the second seed, was born in 1970. And he's very much a sort of elder statesman for wheelchair tennis, and very much a big spokesman as well. He likes to sort of promote the game. He's active in that regard, and he's been in the forefront of pushing the sport ahead nicely. And he got his wish, was playing on Philippe Chatrier court in Roland Garros recently in doubles. Sadly, they lost in, I think it was the semi-finals there in Paris. But his partner today, who we don't, to be honest, know that much about, 393rd in the world, has been inside 320 in the world back in October 21 last year. He's the last direct acceptance here. Of course, with the likes of Gustavo Fernandez and Gordon Reid pulling out at the last minute, which kind of left a bit of a hole in the tournament. But he's in, Thomas Dodds, and he'll have a big opportunity today to take on the likes of Stefan Houday, Anna.
He will. It should be interesting how he deals with, as you said, the experience difference between the two of them. One who's got hundreds of matches on tour and one who's barely got any. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, he's a real pioneer, isn't he, in terms of, you know, what he's up to on court. He's been at the top of wheelchair tennis ladder for over a decade. He was the London 2012 men's singles silver medalist, Beijing 2008 men's doubles gold medalist, partnering fellow Frenchman Jeremias, and Rio 2016 men's doubles gold medalist, partnering Nicolas Pfeiffer. He was the 2012 year-end world #1 and ITF world champion back then as well. So very, very decorated. 3-time men's Wimbledon doubles champion, and in 2011 was the year-end singles masters champion as well. He's a 2-time Roland Garros champion of men's doubles and twice US Open winner as well. 18 Grand Slam doubles titles to his name. So incredibly decorated. Pretty much done the lot, hasn't he, really? Houday, a really experienced player. But how will this South African, who we know very little about, go on against Houday today? The men's singles draw was made at 4 p.m. yesterday to determine who plays who. And right at the top half, we've got Alfie Hewitt, who received a bye because there were only 7 entrants. He'll await the winner of Joachim Gerard and Andrew Penny. They are on 3rd match today. And following this one, sandwiched in between, is Ben Bartram and Danon Ward. An all-British, all 16-year-old affair. 2 of the top 3 British juniors completing the 7-man starting lineup. So 3 matches on today's generous order of play. On court 5 we are, which is just adjacent to centre and 1. And of course, centre where the 4 men's singles quarterfinals will unfold. So just heading then to the back end of the warm-up here. So the former world #1, Alfie Hewitt, top seed, and world #2, he'll be taken to the court tomorrow after his bye, and he'll take on the winner of that Anglo-Belgian clash. Andrew Penny faces off with Joachim Gerard. They'll be on 3rd today. And that, you sense, Anna, is the tougher of the 2 halves of the draw, the top half, with Hewitt and Gerard possibly going toe-to-toe in the semi-final. Should they both, or should Gerard come through that one?
Yeah, it is. You think maybe that could have been the final, but it's going to be a good match for Alfie. I think he'll want as much tough match practice as he can leading into Wimbledon, so it should be a good one tomorrow for him. He seems to be in great form already this year. Seems to be saying that all the time about him.
Just getting better and better, isn't he? Yeah, absolutely. Houday, well, is he on the decline? I hope not. He's 51 years of age. He's as fit as a fiddle, isn't he? He really does play some great wheelchair tennis. And he is a man who's got a very pimped sports chair that he's playing on with an elevated position, if you will, and he's been sort of pioneering in that regard as well. Apparently, he's been looking into, I was listening to on Radio Roland Garros, a podcast that he wants to change his chair to evolve to the next level again. I think he wants like a racing, a horse racing saddle type of arrangement, so he can get more purchase with his body, you know, to get even more leverage. That's what it's all about. But of course, Anna, the thing is they've got to do it at the expense of weight, haven't they? They've got to keep the chairs really light.
They do, and I think we spoke about it, even I think it was last year, even in commentary as well. He's got such a specific chair, and he sits in a different position, doesn't he? He's a lot more upright than a lot of the other players, so does that give him an advantage? He's a little bit higher in the chair.
Well, what striking contrast in weather to last year, where we were detained by quite a bit of rain, and we saw one of the semi-finals of the men's doubles go indoors. But today it's totally blissful, isn't it? Perfect azure blue skies, cloudless, idyllic tennis weather. And as I say, temperatures spiking at around 33 degrees. So we'll make serious headway into our generous wheelchair order of play out here on court 5 with the weather. And I'm pretty sure, fingers crossed, Anna, we always talk about this so much, don't we, the weather, but I hope it's set fair all weekend, really. We might have the odd shower, but nothing too intrusive. And the courts look like they've been well played in as well.
They do. As you said, that little bit of brown patch on the baseline. It's a shame there's not so much up at the net these days, but yeah, these courts look immaculate, don't they? They're like a carpet.
They really do. You see the practice court over on the right there. Gerard is getting warmed up as we speak, but for our attention we'll be firmly fixed on this one. Court 5, Thomas Dodds takes on Stefan Houday in a South African-French clash to get our Cinch Championships wheelchair event underway.
First set, Stefan Houday to serve. Ready?
Lovely wide serve, followed up by the first strike into the space from Stefan. Accurate serving from the second seed. Quite an elevated perch he's in right there, isn't it?
Gives him a little bit more height, doesn't it?
Yeah, height.
Able to hit his spots a bit better.
First blemish on the Frenchman's tally, but it's been a pretty good start to this opening game. 40-15, couple of game points for him now. Secures the opening game then with an ace. Stefan Houday, who has 51 singles titles to his bulging trophy cabinet, 120 doubles titles as well. Houday 1-0 to the good.
Important as well that Dodds tries to get a good start. Tries to get a first game on the board, settle any nerves he has down.
Thomas Dodds to serve.
Well, it's tricky that end, Anna. You're staring right into the sun, aren't you, at around sort of midday, 1 to 2 o'clock-ish as well. It's difficult. It takes a little while to get your ball toss right.
Especially if you haven't warmed up at that end either. Houday had a little bit of an advantage, having a few practice serves.
That's a brilliant stretch forehand return from Houday, getting onto that one quickly and attempting the early ambush here on the Dodds serve. Dodds plays mainly on the ITF Futures Series circuit. But it's Houday who's finding his mark with some quality returns.
Really trying to show his experience out here in these opening couple of games.
this is definitely the biggest stage that he's competed on, Thomas Dodds. That's a little bit of a settler there. He's got a point on the board. Never easy, is it, Anna, when you're, when you're playing on such a, such a stage against the second seed.
Especially all the history at this tournament as well. Such a great experience for him to play against someone like Stefan Houday.
Still 2 break points here for Stefan Houday at 15.40. Well, a second double fault from Thomas Dodds yields quite softly his opening service game. Houday races off to a heady 2-love lead, and he's demanding the balls, the man with the white glove. He's got an intimidation factor about him. Very experienced. Been around the block a number of times, has Houday. Serving at 2-love.
There's that wide serve again. I think every single time on the juice side he's gone out wide. Is Dodds going to start covering that area?
Yeah, and there's pace as well, isn't there, as accuracy. He's got the lot. Always found that as well. Spiked it down the tee, loaded with topspin.
It's not hanging around, is
No,
he?
he's not. He's on a mission. Well, that's a blink and you miss it service hold for Stefan Houday. He really is off to a flyer. And quite a nice settling opening match for him at the moment. Can all change in a heartbeat, of course. But the winner of this one will take on the winner of Ben Bartram and Dannon Ward. And they'll be up next on this court. So do stay with us for that one. Houday off to a 3-love lead here. He's a very good golfer, isn't he, Houday? He's, in his able-bodied years and a qualified vet as well, a family man with lots of children. He's rich in experience and had a very fruitful experience life. Was this man here? Well, Thomas was he's been in a wheelchair all of his life. He found a passion for tennis when he was a child. He was involved in a car accident when he was 9 months old, so grew up in a wheelchair and learnt the way and motion of life from the perspective of a wheelchair. He says when he was about 5 years old, he attended various sports camps, as you do as a child. He tried everything from wheelchair basketball to horse riding, archery. The only sport which seemed to come naturally, and one that I obviously loved, was tennis, which he's stuck with ever since. He's got a couple of older brothers who play tennis as a hobby, so he always had someone to hit with on court, which was a huge motivation. But it always arouses curiosity, wheelchair tennis, doesn't it? I found it fascinating. I was introduced with doubles. So fast and furious. Great to watch.
It was. I played a couple of times as well. I used to help one of the female women's players, Lauren Jones, who used to play, and she got me in a chair a couple of times, and it's phenomenal how athletic they are, and it's just incredible.
Well, he elevated from playing with his brothers into playing more seriously in his teens, and in the end played for the South African team, reaching a world ranking of 29 in the junior divisions, competing internationally around the world. But he is nervous, Hannah, there's no doubting it. And of course, when you're fighting the scoreboard as well at love 3, there's no settling, is there? And your mind starts playing games with you, doesn't it? It's very, very difficult. You just got to calm down and see if you can get the ball in. Sometimes easier said than done.
You took the words right out of my mouth, especially when there's that tension. You're not quite as relaxed as you should be. And he's not really helping with a few more double faults. Wants to make Houday play a little bit more.
Well, he has competed at the British Open in Nottingham, where we'll be in a few weeks' time, as Dodds. But he loved that because all of the best players from Wimbledon, of course, and all the world come to attend that one big high-level event. And he says the vibe from Wimbledon's still very much alive there. It's a great showcase of the sport, and as we know, well attended by supporters. Well, again, he concedes on another service game, and body language not looking too great at the moment. He needs to somehow find some traction here and get stuck in on this very hot day.
It looks like he's struggling a little bit with the heat as well. You can see he's just got that towel wrapped around his neck.
Yeah, quite several of these athletes sort of struggle a little bit more to regulate their body temperature, so heat can prove a troubling factor. Well, of course, what's this doing for Houday? It's settling him, it's relaxing him. He's free, isn't he? He's sort of ratcheting up through the gears now.
I'm sure his game plan was to try and just expend as little energy as possible, especially in such warm conditions today. Try and get on off the court as quick as he possibly could.
Yeah, he's been uber efficient so far, hasn't he, this man? And I can tell you he's probably not in a very compassionate mood. That's just the way he rolls. He's very competitive, and he's steaming towards the umpire's chair for what is now a heady 5-love lead. It's a rampant Houday here. Well, it certainly is a day for caps and sunglasses, sun cream, umbrellas. It's all at the fore. It's got to be approaching the hottest day of the year, hasn't it? For sure, I'd have thought 33 degrees anticipated. But there's a little welcome breeze, which is...
I think he's got the water canister as well, just to try and cool him off a little bit as well. Any little tactic you can use out there.
Yeah, he actually trains at the National Tennis Centre, not far from here, about 20-minute drive in Roehampton. Does Dodds?
I've seen him a few times down there.
Have you? Yeah.
I have.
Fine.
When asked about a specific diet, when and what do you eat? No, not really. I love fast food. I'm a really fussy eater, but don't tell my coaching team. He likes his bananas, his isotonic energy drinks and bars before and after matches, does Thomas. But what are the challenges, he was asked, you know, since you've been playing tennis competitively? He says controlling his frustrations. Well, he's having to do that right here as well now, isn't he? Because he's not really got much of a hold in this one so far now. Can he get his teeth in here? Trailing love 5, some deep breathing going on. Desperate to land a telling serve is Thomas Dodds. Well, he had a chance meeting, did Thomas, with Andre Agassi when he was aged 5. Thomas, that is, at a sports camp for children in wheelchairs. He gave me a signed racket. It's probably one of the reasons I fell in love with the sport at that age and kept on playing. That's your bottles from last night, isn't it? All the wine.
I know. I thought you weren't going to tell anyone about that.
That's the corporate entertaining section to the left. They'll be having a lavish lunch, no doubt.
Houday might be joining in at this rate with how quickly he's getting through this match.
He is whizzing. Well, what advice do you wish you'd been given when you first started out? They asked Thomas many years ago in an interview, and he said, don't stop. And I think I'd be urging him with you, Anna, wouldn't we, to do just the same here. He's got to just stick at it.
Absolutely. He's just got to find a way.
Oh, yes, Houday finding the holes in the court nicely. He looks a little concerned here. Okay, so that's the first set. Houday's looking at his opponent as if he has some sort of issue that needs addressing. Well, a sympathetic chat at the net there, Anna. I didn't pick up any of that, did you?
No, I'm not quite sure what happened.
I think Houday perhaps asking him if he's okay, perhaps a little concerned because Thomas perhaps...
I think they were asking if they were going to have a set break. I think they're going straight into it.
Well, not in charitable mood, is it? Eh? Another ace slammed down.
He really doesn't want to hang around.
Back-to-back aces for Houday. Keen to see the stats now and check out how many he's hit. Seven already.
Make
that eight. Yeah, rifling up with the numbers there. 71% first serves landed as opposed to his opponent's 21%. With that 100% effect whenever he lands his first serve. Well, Houday there, after that, another rampant serve, just throwing himself out of his chair. Occasionally see that, normally from Gustavo Fernandez, who sadly is not here because he's a real colourful player and a real character, the South American. We'll be watching him at Wimbledon, though, no doubt, in a few weeks' time. A couple of weeks now, actually, just not far away, is it?
Not at all.
So, 6 love, 1 love for Houday.
Dodds looks like he's struggling a little bit out there. It does look like the conditions are taking its toll. And also you have to factor into account that when you're moving on a grass court, you expend a lot more energy. It's a lot harder to move these chairs around.
Yeah, actually, Anna, in talking about that, sorry to intrude, French Open, they play with less topsoil and they don't water the court quite as much. It's a very sort of meticulously kept court for them. And I was really curious. Would you know if the groundsman lays the court up slightly differently for these guys? Because presumably they want to get some, an easy rolling court, whether the grass be shorter or it looks the same as the others, doesn't it?
You do, yeah. You do get the feel as if it is the same as the courts usually. He is really struggling out here.
Yeah, this is a factor, isn't it? It's very, very hot. He's obviously troubled by it.
I wonder if we're getting the physio called out onto court.
Well, Gerard was a victim of illness in Tokyo during the Olympics. And you wonder there whether that was sort of heat-induced. It was actually a bit of a cardiac nature with Joachim in Tokyo. He sort of suffered sudden and totally unexpected discomfort, but who knows at the moment. We kind of need a diagnosis from the physio. But the poor fella's only managed to win 3 points so far against Stefan Houday's 8. So it is, to say the least, a lopsided competition. And with what's going on and perhaps feeling a little lackluster, I hope he can continue. Houday looking on with concern, staying hydrated.
Looks very businesslike, doesn't he? Very relaxed. He's got that look in his eyes.
Houday this year with 11 wins on tour at the expense of just 8 losses. He's won 4 clay matches, 2 losses on clay, 7 on hard, 6 losses on hard as well. So his numbers looking good. Well, he'll be frustrated, this man, there's no doubt about it. He will be upset because he'll be wanting to come out here and give himself the best possible chance of lending itself to a really good performance, something that he can talk to his grandkids about over time, you know, but it's just not happening for him at all.
It's not quite just been able to get out of the blocks, has he? You always think when you're playing against someone who, in theory, is the huge favourite like Houday is, you want to try and just find a way to get a couple of games earlier, a couple of games on the board early on, but it just hasn't been able to do that, and it's sort of snowballed, hasn't it? And again, the just conditions haven't helped, and I think the physio's here just trying to find out what the problem is.
Incidentally, while we're on a little bit of a break, I'll give you some news from today's first quad singles round robin match at the Rothsig Classic Birmingham. Nottinghamshire's James Shaw beat fellow Brit Anthony Cotterill, 1 and love. Britain's 15-time Grand Slam champion Andy Lapthorne will play Shaw and Cotterill in the remaining matches over the next couple of days. And that tournament up there in the Birmingham Classic, sponsored by Rothsay, is the first quad singles grass court ranking tournament outside of Wimbledon, so quite a coup. The sport's moving so fast, isn't it? I did the French Open. We were commentating matches that were happening all around the ground, and some of the matches even on court Philippe Chatrier. And I mentioned Houday graced that court once, maybe even twice, but they love him there. He lost in the semi-finals of the doubles with Nicholas Payfer, but you know, it's great to see the sport now getting the inclusivity that it needs, frankly.
Absolutely, you can see that it's growing, and especially in this country with the likes of Alfie and Gordon, they've just grown the sport exponentially, haven't they? And there's so much more interest, and the level compared to sort of 6-7 years ago has just grown so much.
Well, the provisional schedule, we've got 3 quarterfinals today because of the 1 bye at the top of the draw for Alfie Hewitt. Tomorrow we've got the 2 semi-final singles and 2 doubles semi-finals as well to bring you. Sunday is just, of course, the final of both events as well, singles and doubles. So that's how the land lies. Do tune in and give that your full attention. Okay, MTO, medical timeout for 3 minutes for Thomas Dodds. And looking ahead to Wimbledon, which isn't next week, but the week after, starting the main able-bodied event, and then, of course, the wheelchairs start in the 2nd week. So literally 2.5 weeks away. Britain's Alfie Hewitt, Gordon Reid, Lucy Schucker and Andy Lapthorne are all entered for the wheelchair tennis events at Wimbledon this year. And that runs from the 7th to the 10th of July, covered by the BBC as well. And then following Wimbledon, the players head to the next major event on the wheelchair tennis world circuit, British Open, that we touched on. That's in Nottingham from the 12th to the 17th of July. And traditionally one of the select roster of Super Series events on tour is the British Open, with only the slams above this level. And this year the British Open has ITF #1 series status. So we'll be streaming you all of that as well. So there'll be plenty of attention on wheelchair tennis, and it is great to watch. Well, British wheelchair athletes won 4 medals at Tokyo in the 2020 Paralympics to go with their record 6 medals, more than any other nation that they took in Rio as well. And frankly, now with 4 Brits in this men's singles draw, we're one of the leading nations in the world for wheelchair tennis. British players all supported by the LTA through their wheelchair tennis performance pathway, which supports players to achieve success on the world stage and helps to inspire other disabled people to pick up a racket and play. And all the British players, Anna, as you'll know well as well, they're really passionate, aren't they, about doing that and just spending time with young juniors and supporting grassroots activity.
Absolutely.
It's a lovely warm world, isn't
Yeah.
it? They're ever so friendly and all engaging. So Thomas has got the ice towel around him just to get that core temperature right down. That's what it's about. But the next generation of wheelchair tennis in this country in particular looking very, very bright. The LTA have developed a thriving junior wheelchair tennis section with training camps, competitions, many of them wanting to become the next Alfie or Jordan. So there's mechanisms in place, age group programs to support the most promising juniors. And of course, talking of junior tennis, we'll be seeing 2 of the very best up in the next match. Ben Bartram is the world #2 junior from Great Britain as well, and as is Dannon Ward, who's the world #5 junior. 2 16-year-olds going toe-to-toe after this one. That should be interesting, and they are actually meeting for the 10th time. 2 dear friends and doubles partners as well. So, Anna, that's never an easy dynamic, is it, when you're playing your friend and your...
No, it's not. And they know each other so well as well. It's been an interesting head-to-head. I think Dannon won the first 5, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. 5-4. Ben's the last 4,
I know,
right?
and I think he won Love and Love in their last contest. So it'll be interesting to see what Dannon can do to turn that little consecutive run around.
So this man's been made weight. He's used to that. There's all sorts of sort of little stop-starting arrangements often in tennis for whatever reason. One of the court supervisors just sharing thoughts and getting an update as to where their man is. And I guess, Anna, at this stage, the question being, can he continue?
It's not looking too hopeful, is it? Especially with that ice towel coming out.
Well, we'll find out very soon, because surely the clock is ticking and 3 minutes must be approaching. Umpire's just going to make an announcement imminently, you sense.
As much as I'm sure he wants to continue, is it good for his health?
Well, that's it.
That's the most important thing, isn't it?
Well, looks like they are going to resume, which is encouraging. They're lovely properties, aren't they, that surround this this glorious Queen's Club. Every time you play here over the years, you sort of often look up, don't you, thinking, I wonder what's happening in there. I walked down earlier, and there was a lady sat on that left-hand balcony, dangling out of the window, just sunning herself. That was at sort of like 9:30 in the morning. I said to one of the guys working in the grounds, I said, she won't be sat there for much more than sort of 30 minutes or so, because the sun was searing down even then. Here he is. Good to see him back. Thomas Dodds, hopefully fit and well and able to resume here. He's got work to do. He's trailing 7-love. But he has his serve to come. Not that it stands for much so far. Well, it's unsettling at best, isn't it, when you've been shrouded by an ice towel as well, and then you're expected to go on and sort of like slam down serves. Never easy. He's now got to find his rhythm again.
Best serve of the match, I think that was.
That was good. Had a little bit of slice on it as well. Moved away from Houday. That was encouraging. Yet to hit an ace. But it's about getting more first serves in for him. Just about a quarter of them landed so far in this match for Thomas. Well, it was always going to be a lopsided contest, Anna. When you look at the golf in rankings, world number 5 taking on the world number 393, who was the last direct acceptance in here. And, you know, it's just great to see him out here trying to contest against this very experienced wheelchair veteran from France.
Hopefully it gives him the motivation and inspires him to keep going. That's why you play this sport, isn't it? To play the big players, to play the big names on the biggest occasions, and it doesn't get much better than this.
Well, he posts quite a lot on Facebook, does Thomas Dodds, and there's a wonderful picture of him having just been nicely manicured, coming out of the barbers, and he looks to me a little bit like Eric Cantona. Oh, a cheeky little angle forehand volley from Houday, and he does indeed break serve yet again, and is blemish-free himself. It's been an impeccable performance from Houday, but many would say, well, he's barely been tested. But I tell you what, sterner tests definitely lie in wait when he takes on the winner of the All-British Junior Clash tomorrow. Well, that's it, folks, on this match. Thomas Dodds obviously feels he can go no further. He's overcome with heat exhaustion, seemingly. And pulled the ripcord. That's a shame. Houday shakes the umpire's hand. Let's hope he can get that core temperature down. He's obviously upset, and sometimes, Anna, your thoughts can get on top of you, can't they, when you've not had a very good showing?
Absolutely, and especially with the occasion as well. He would have come out here and wanted to put on a good performance, and unfortunately for him, it's been such tricky conditions, so hot out there, and just really struggled. So let's just hope, like you say, he can get that temperature down.
There we are, the shake of hands. Bittersweet moment. Houday will just wheel away and let him relax. Nice to see that he came around the chair, though, to do that. Thomas Dodds just taking to the deck just to enjoy the shade of the umbrella and just cool right down on this difficult, sweltering Friday. So Houday marches through then. The second seed coming through 6-love, 2-love after just over half an hour of action. Looks like he's trying to get onto the practice court adjacent, doesn't it?
I think he's having a chat with the coach. Looks like Gerard's just warming up as well, getting ready for his match later.
Common language between the two, the Belgian and the French, of course. But his day is done and dusted, Stéphane Houday, in terms of business, and he marches on through to the last 4, where he'll await the winner of Ben Bartram and Dannon Ward in that all-British clash that'll be up next. So Houday landed 11 aces, just the 1 double fault, and took 4 breaks of serve from his opponent. But more importantly, I never like the look of a player led down like that for too long. I'm sure he's okay and he's just recuperating, Thomas Dodds, but let's hope he can make his way safely off court and back to the cooler climes of the locker room.
Looks like the doctor's down there as well, taking good care of him. I think they're just getting him up off the floor now.
Oh, good, he's okay. And he's being wheeled off to, as I say, aircon conditions, no doubt. That's the main thing. He's fit and well, and hopefully going to cool down and lick his wounds. So Stefan Houday then coming through our first quarterfinal, 6-love, 2-love in just 30 minutes. We'll be back with more action, and the next match wheels on. Don't go too far. Welcome back then to an all-British battle of two 16-year-olds. Ben Bartram taking on Dannon Ward. This one to take on Stefan Houday, the winner of this match in tomorrow's semi-final. Houday with a win, 6-love, 1-love over Thomas Dodds. We brought you that. That lasted about sort of 30-odd minutes or so, and mercifully Thomas Dodds was okay, made his way off court, having to retire from sort of heat stroke. But Houday along the way hit 11 aces and landed 76% first serves in. What of this one? Two young 16-year-old Brits. Should be very interesting to see what lies behind Alfie Hewitt and Gordon Reid on the rankings, frankly. These guys are very, very good and proud ambassadors of the British flag. There's Ben Bartram, and then there is Dannon Ward with the black cap on. Not a cap colour of my choice in this weather, Anna. I think I'd have gone for more of a white one to reflect the sun more, but there we are. We all have our own quirky ways. There's no wrongs or rights. Years ago, you wouldn't have been allowed to play in a black cap here. Certainly not at Wimbledon with the strict all whites ruling. And there is Ben Bartram. It's as I say, a 10th meeting between these two. Dannon Ward leads 5-4 head-to-head. But Ben Bartram has won the last 4 encounters. And the last meeting, 6-love, 6-love in favour of Ben at the Bolton Indoor ITF 3 wheelchair event of this year. Well, Ben gesturing that he wants the far end. And as I say, he's been pretty dominant in his last 4 wins over Dannon. But what will unfold today in the 10th chapter? He leads 5-4 head-to-head, as I said. World number 41 at the moment. And was high as 38 in the world last week. The British number 3 currently, 16 years of age. He's got 12 ITF titles to his name, 1 World Team Cup showing, and he became a pro in 2019. Did Ben, at the top of your picture. He's from Norwich. That's where he was born, and lives in Sprowston in Norfolk these days. Loves his backhand and loves a clay court. His opponent, Dannon Ward, as we say, also 16 years of age. Slightly lower on the rankings, 23 spots lower at 64 in the world, and just 3 spots off a career high of 61 in the world last week. He's from Derbyshire born, lives in Kegworth in Leicester, East Midlands. And of course, that's where you've got the Nottingham Tennis Centre and the Loughborough National Tennis Centre close by. Very local, very accessible. When you're living in the East Midlands, it's so advantageous as a tennis player. Such a good thing to get into with so rich in facility locally. He trains at Loughborough these days, does Dannon. Ben trains at Eastern Tennis Centre in Norwich. He's coached by Neil Plaskett. So he loves the clay. He's had 4 wins and 3 losses this year on the dirt, and on a hard court, 10 wins, only 3 losses. And generally, his year, he's been at 70% success. Wins to losses. So his career highlights for Ben. He won the Junior Masters Boys Championships. And he also won the Bolton Indoor ITF 3 as well. And he was the British Open Junior Champion of 2021 as well. He's got 1 ITF men's singles title, 2 ITF men's doubles titles, and very often these guys play together in doubles, incidentally, so they're good buddies in that regard. Ben's very active on Instagram. He's got over 2,000 followers. Dannon, currently number 5 junior in the world, has been up to number 3 junior in the world back in January of 2020. Dannon was named as the inaugural ITF Wheelchair Tennis Boys Junior Player of the Year a couple of years ago. That's quite a coup. Have you seen either of these players play before, Anna?
No, I haven't. I'm looking forward to seeing the up-and-coming generation, the new Gordon and Alfies.
It's going to be interesting to see how they handle this sort of sense of occasion, and it is a big one. And it's a difficult dynamic, isn't it? Playing your mate, you know, somebody that's shared lots of tournaments with you, and you've shared the court with them, and success along the way in terms of doubles. You know, it's the 10th meeting. You just want to come out here and bring your very best. And sometimes, Anna, it's difficult to do that as a pro, isn't it? You can sometimes be your own worst enemy and get in your own way.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you looked at the match previously where Thomas Dodds got off to a slow start, and it sort of snowballed from there, didn't it? Especially when you come into an occasion like this and an event like this, just being 16 years old, you obviously want to show everyone what you've got, what you're about. So I think it's going to be important for both of them if they can get off to a quick start here. But they know each other's games so well. They know each other inside out. It's going to be about who puts their game on the court.
Yeah, this one from the top of the bottom half of the draw then. As I say, Houday lies in wait. His work is done for the day, and he will probably cast his eye over this, you would imagine, to see if he can pick up any tactics, because I doubt he's too familiar with these two youngsters.
Slight age difference, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. 16 and 51, yeah, quite. In fact, his children are probably around this age, or beyond, I would imagine.
Quite possibly. I'm sure tomorrow, whoever he plays, he's going to want to show that he's still got a little bit of life left in him just yet.
Well, this man here, the young 16-year-old, has had the upper hand in the last 4 matches that they've met, and really been owning their previous 4 matches since 2021, where they met at the British Open Junior Made draw on the outdoor hard courts there in Nottingham, where we worked together. But it's a meeting that goes back all the way to 2019, when they first met in Amiens in France on an indoor clay court. Dannon won the first 5 showings, incidentally, but since then it's been all Ben. Now, will grass bring a different look to their head-to-head? It's the first time they'll have ever met on a grass court. Confirmation of this one then. It's a Ben Bartram against Dannon Ward in this all-British 16-year-old affair. Out on court 5 here from the glorious Queen's Club, and it has been a beautiful day of weather so far. A gorgeous sun-kissed scene. The sun's beating down, literally. One of our players had to retire earlier on this court, so let's hope these two can at least get through the match and bring some stunning tennis as well. It's Dannon Ward to get this men's wheelchair singles quarter-final underway. Well, as I said earlier, this one's a matchup between Britain's 2 wheelchair tennis junior masters finalists. They met in the boys singles final in Tarbes in January. Bartram won then, 6-4 in the third. They also paired up to win the junior masters boys doubles final there in France as well. Good serving from Dannon, who secures that opening game in no-nonsense fashion.
Not at all. That'll settle a few nerves, won't it? Some big serving from Dan and Ward. It looks like that's going to be one of his weapons out here, and especially on a faster grass court like it is today, and with the conditions being hotter, the ball's going to fly through the air a little bit quicker.
Really good chance, big opportunity for these two today to really put themselves on the global tennis map with what's happening here. This is a big tournament, arguably their biggest. Who will cope better? Well, they'll partner up tomorrow, playing doubles together, these two. We don't know the draw yet. That'll be out later on. It's a 4-team draw, though. We do know that. Matches start at semi-final stage. Lovely, good body jamming serve there from Ben Bartram. Already you see, Anna, that the serves are quite well-honed weapons in their junior games.
It's just emphasised on the grass courts as well, isn't it? Neither player's just quite found their range on the returns, have they? Just a few too many unforced errors.
Yeah, these two guys as well will be very, very young in terms of grass experience. There's no doubt in that. They spend all of their time on hard or clay, indoor, outdoor. There's, you know, that's just the way they roll, literally. But on a grass court, it's a different beast altogether.
Different way of playing, isn't it? Slightly different mindset. You're going to change things tactically a little bit more, do something a little bit different.
Well, that's really good tennis. Lovely backhand drive. That's his favoured shot, Ben Bartram, to secure the game to 15. And he'll be pleased with that as he draws level early stages on this scoreboard now.
Nice to get that first game under your belt, isn't it? Get those first serves in. Give it a couple of ground strokes as well.
Are you a big ambassador of sort of like first strike tennis on the grass, just trying to be as aggressive as you can?
Absolutely. I wish I had a big first strike when I played, but yeah, I think that's hugely important. Although the grass courts sort of nowadays have got a bit slower.
Yeah, they're much firmer bouncing, aren't they, as well? A lot higher bouncing. The grass is kind of shaved down to, I think, around 2 millimetres or so.
You see the kind of success that Nadal has had at Wimbledon. When he first sort of came onto the scene, you'd never have thought that a type of player like him would have. But I think, as you said, with the court slowing up a little bit more, they bounce a little bit higher. Just slightly different tactics that people can bring. But for me, I still think first strike tennis is hugely important on grass.
Loves it.
Well, it's something that we've grown used to over the years on a grass court. If you can land that decent telling first serve, then generally it puts you in an upper hand. But here, Bartram has 3 break point opportunities, anything but. Big opportunity here to get the first break of serve on the Ward delivery. And that's a good telling deep for second serve, though, keeping danger at bay momentarily. Now, it's easy to rush as a youngster in these kind of moments when you want it so badly. Got to take your time. Telling length with the return of serve, and it's Dan and Ward who breaks first in this quarter-final encounter, and wheels round with a 2-1 advantage in this last 8 match. We saw some early evidence there, Anna, that he really does enjoy his backhand. Hitting the ball very well, getting a lot of purchase off that side.
He does, and it just looks like that he's going to try and use that as much as he possibly can. And that's why, if you're Ward, you've really got to try and find a way to avoid it, whether you're looking to swing that serve down the tee or out wide on the deuce and ad side, just to try and avoid that backhand. Whether that's something he's spoken to his coach about before the match.
Well, both these players were members of the GB men's team that won their World Team Cup qualification event in Antalya, Turkey in March. And in making their senior Great Britain debuts, they both became LTA colour holders, which is exactly what you are, Anna, as well, isn't it? Very decorated.
Oh, I know. Reminds me of how old I am. Back in the day.
Ben was recently named LTA Junior Player of the Year in the tennis awards. That's quite a coup. Wheelchair tennis, viewers, is all about momentum, getting a roll into the ball, and sometimes on a grass court, as you can see, sometimes the chair wants to sort of almost break itself, it seems, judging from early impressions, and that must be quite tough to get that blend right of knowing how much to push. That's an experienced thing, surely. Oh,
it looks like it's quite heavy, doesn't it? You really have to use those arms to get any momentum going. Makes it tricky, and especially in these conditions, as we saw in the previous match, really the physical exertion is hard.
Oh, that's gorgeous. What a response from the server there with that lovely spike forehand down the line.
Wasn't a bad return, was it, as
No.
well? Moved into it and took it early.
Now then, that double fault from Ben Bartram has thrown him under pressure. 2 break points then for Dannon Ward to get back on terms here. He's grappling with his timing somewhat on that delivery, is Ben. That's a heavy no-nonsense strike again from the higher ranked of the two, just 23 world ranking spots between these two. Expectation, you'd imagine, on this young man at world number 41, British number 3. Done well here to dodge a couple of bullets from 1540, has Ben Bartram.
Looks a little bit as if the breeze has picked up as well.
Bartram toughs out a really good service hold and avoids that pressured situation of 15-40 with flying colours. Early test of character, and he came out on top, young Ben Bartram. Dealing with that moment a little bit better at the moment than Dannon Ward, who will be hoping dearly to hold on here. 1-3 he serves.
Just important here for Ward, isn't it? Just to try and stop that momentum that Bartram's got after having those chances in the previous game.
They're aiming a lot of serves at each other's chairs or bodies, aren't they? You know, probably using a little bit of slice and kick to make the ball move.
Especially the way it just skids off the grass as well. It's tough for either player to get their chair out of the way. Gives yourself a big target as well, doesn't it, to aim for? Makes such a difference when they get that first serve in. Opens up the court. There it is again, that 1-2 punch, isn't it? Going out wide, just opening up into the space.
Good season for Dannon. 17 wins offset with just 8 losses this year. It's been very productive, 68% win-loss ratio. But this, a difficult dynamic for him. Playing against his friend and doubles partner, something that he seems to grapple with just that little bit more. That said, though, he's held on to that service game and just nipping away at the heels of Ben Bartram. Bartram with a slender 3-2 lead then. This one bubbling up nicely. Pretty appropriate adjective on a day like this.
It is. As you said, both players just seem to be finding their rhythm a bit more out here. Unforced errors have dropped. The winner count's going up. And the ice towels are coming out as well. Important they make sure they stay nice and cool out here.
Yeah, that's the priority number one, isn't it? Just really be careful against the sun. And, you know, get the... in Australia, I remember they used to say slip, slop, slap, you know. Slap on the cream, slip on a shirt. And, yeah, you've got to get the eyewear right, the headwear right. You've got to be prepared. Yeah, Ben Bartram keenly wheeling around to continue in his positive vein of ball striking, as they both have been so far. It's been a very watchable affair, this second men's wheelchair singles quarter-final. After this match, we'll be bringing you a match from the top half of the draw between Gerard, the world number 7, who'll take on another British player, young 17-year-old Andrew Penny, world number 87. He's coached by my mate, Mike Booth, who's actually been warming up on the next court with him. I noticed the distinct cuts at the ball from my pal over there. I'll tell you more when they come to court later. Well, he's keen to get onto the ball early, isn't he? He wants to get that ball at the top of its apex, really, and take it early and penetrate through the court. That's obviously the objective, but that one just kissing the tape on the way through. Anna, imagine if we bought that row of houses at the back of the court about 30 years ago. You'd have only been about two years. But you know what I mean? We would have been sitting on a fortune right now, wouldn't we?
We absolutely would. We'd been sat there with a nice glass of something cold.
Probably not in London. Just missed it. Lovely little drop shot there from Ward, mixing it up nicely.
Of course, they're a little softer, aren't they, compared to hardcourt and clay. Such a good tactic to use.
Now he's thinking, why did I wear that black cap? Okay, so it was an out serve. Well, he's got a lot of fizz on that second serve, and he takes a big cut at it. A lot of racket head speed, but sometimes it costs him dear. Here he is again then on a second consecutive service game where he's staring down the barrel. Can he find a much needed first serve? Well, a limp way to concede his serve there from Ben Bartram. 2 consecutive double faults aren't going to help, and we have parity in this very tight opening set after 18 minutes or so of action out here on 5. Nerve-addled performance from both, I would suggest.
It's been a little bit up and down, hasn't it?
It has.
Neither's quite managed to get on a roll.
And you've got to pinch yourself to remind yourself they're 16 years of age. I mean, it's only a few months older than my son. And I know what he's like, you know, so absent-minded and away with the fairies half the time. These guys are doing very well.
You do forget with the amount of power they've already got in their games, don't you? You'd easily think they were not teenagers, but that's what's so exciting for British wheelchair tennis, that we've got these guys coming up to start challenging Alfie and Gordon.
Yeah, it plays a testament to the supportive LTA wheelchair tennis program and the pathway. That's a brilliant return of serve from Ward, who's bringing quite a lot, but it's a little hit and miss at the moment. That was a telling, piercing forehand return there. Now, can he find his range here? It's catching. Thank you very much. So 2 break points again. These two mirroring each other's service games seemingly. It is indeed another break of serve. Bartram on top again as he was at 3-2. Now he'll be hoping as he wheels round to the sanctuary of the sit down that he can just collect his thoughts under the umbrella and come out and serve far better than he did in his last attempt to extend his lead. Still just the one game between these two. Well, the wheelchair events here at the Cinch Championships and the Rothesay Classic Birmingham and the Rothesay International at Eastbourne are all part of the ITF's Uniqlo Wheelchair Tennis World Tour, and all have ITF 2 series status. And the tour now consists of more than 160 tournaments over 40 countries around the world, with a total prize money of $3.25 million US. And when you bear in mind that it was only back in 1992 that initially there was only 11 international tournaments, and you know, now we're all inclusive at the 4 Grand Slams since 2017, and hitting the real big courts, it's really quite something, isn't it? It makes you smile and glow with a lovely warm feeling of just how far this discipline has come.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see, especially at Wimbledon, when these guys are playing, that there's just that raucous atmosphere, isn't it? It's incredible. Especially when Gordon and Alfie and Jordan was playing, and Lucy and those kinds of players, just the atmosphere that they bring, and to see where it's come, like you say, it's been incredible, and what a journey they've been on.
Armed with a slender advantage then is Ben Bartram, serving at 4-3 first set. Yeah, just heard the kiss of the net as that ball was perilously close. Tailored chairs, of course, very expensive.
Very lightweight as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Don't want anything weighing them down. They want to be as quick around the courts as they possibly can.
Yeah, the chairs have to be laid up specifically to your disability so that you can get the very best, and of course the stability wheel at the back so that you don't topple. This young man has a very heavy serve, Ben Bartram. Let's hope I haven't jinxed him. There's been a few too many of them. They've shared 10 double faults between them already, these two, and yet to hit an ace. First serve percentage 42 for Dannon Ward, and just 40% from Ben Bartram. But it is breezy. You can see the wind's picked up. Look at his hair, they're just blowing around. Welcome breeze as well in this heat. I hope he's got cream on. Looks rather red-faced already, doesn't he? Well, that was a telling strike.
Did he go for the sabre off that return, was it?
Yeah, that was unusual, wasn't it? Difficult to get that lob dispatched. It was obviously deeper than we could see. Well, that's a really good service hold from Ben Bartram. Just managing to get across the line and extend his lead. He's now got a 2-game cushion of 5-3, just a game away from this opening set here, and putting Dannon Ward under more pressure. And of course, psychologically for this man with the black hair, it's quite tricky when you've lost the last 4 occasions to your opponent. So easy to overplay. Oh! Oh, what a save that was.
Wow.
Great retrieval skills there from Dannon Ward, who was straining every sinew to get to that. That was Fernandez-like, wasn't it?
It was. Used the wrong side of his racket.
Yeah.
I thought the ball was gone, but what a trick shot that was.
Really clever and dexterous. Must-hold service game if he's to extend his stay in this opening set. Dannon Ward. That's a lovely serve. As you said, Anna, at the top of the programme, such a different perspective when you land that first.
It is. It just generally means you're able to get the first strike in the rally.
That's a brilliant return of serve off again the backhand, which is the more dangerous side of Ben Bartram.
I think I jinxed it as well. He got his first serve in and then the returner hit a winner.
So the future of British wheelchair tennis right here. Oh, didn't miss by much, and Dannon fist pumping in delight. He's done well there.
At least wants to make Bartram serve out this opening set, doesn't he? Doesn't want to give him the break here.
Yeah, well done. Just waiting for his opponent to commit in his peripheral vision one way or the other, and then just nudging it to the space nicely. They do play with a great deal of racket head speed, these two youngsters, don't they, on serve and forehand and backhand as well. Very impressive.
There's a lot of wrist action. They're so quick with the hand, aren't they? And they're able to get that ball up and down over the net quickly.
And of course, something that's unique to wheelchair players, Anna, you know this as well as me, is that they'll play with the same contact the ball on the same side of the racket face, forehand and backhand. It's called a reverse backhand. It's really good from Dannon Ward. Really solid hold. And with that, he'll ask the serve it out question of Ben Bartram, his mate and doubles partner. Can he deliver in the crunch moment? Dodds then holding on by a thread in this opening set. So far, early impressions, pretty good, right?
It's been a good level so far. Both players looking to get that first strike in. Both players looking to play really aggressive tennis, which is great to see. Just been a few errors here and there, but Bartram's really done well. And Dannon Ward's just trying to hang on in there.
Total points won, Dannon Ward 25, his opponent 26. So it is a very tight match. And as normal in wheelchair singles and doubles, the serve, because of the lower contact point and the situation, is inevitably weaker than able-bodied players generally, and as a consequence you do see a lot of return breaks.
Absolutely. But I think, as we've seen in this match so far, as soon as the server has managed to get the first serve in, the percentage that they've been able to win has been pretty high. But now it's up to Ben Bartram to really try and get that first serve percentage up in this game. Doesn't want to give Dannon Ward a sniff in these opening couple of points.
Yeah, so just over half an hour on the match clock then. Ben Bartram will be keen to land the first serve and attempt to start to put a lid on this tight opening set. Oh, that's narrowly missed. Judy Murray sums it up well over the years. She always used to say that it was like playing chess, you know, in a wheelchair, like you're on the move. Really, really difficult because you're thinking about tactics and strategy, and of course just manoeuvring the chair around to make a decent contact is easier said than done. Like playing chess whilst riding a bike was her phrase.
Can't say I've tried, I have to say.
You've tried wheelchair tennis though, right?
Yeah,
yeah, I've been threatened with that before, but I'm sure it's really difficult.
It is very, very tricky. I tend to wheel the wrong way when I'm turning the chair. It's sort of counterintuitive to which way you think it's going to go, so I sort of ended up going backwards rather than forwards.
It's a big, clunky forehand return taken very early from Dannon Ward. And in terms of able-bodied players would rotate shoulders against the hips, these guys have to rotate the chair to get the rotation, don't they? So that means sort of pulling on one wheel almost as you accelerate through your forehand, right?
Exactly
which would be
kind
of anti-thinking for us.
That was exactly the problem. You sort of think when you're trying to move it, you'd automatically just turn, but then you have to pull the chair backwards, and that was the thing that I really struggled with. So. And
something interesting popped up, Anna, there. Did you see the return hit the chair of Ben Bartram, so he loses the point? Although it didn't land in the court, but it did hit the chair. His opponent offered a hand of apology. But that has unsettled him a little because he's yielded a double fault. So suddenly, a little shard of light then for Dannon Ward. Another break point. Good body jamming serve again from Ben Bartram.
Got to put the ball in the court there, don't you, on break point?
Yeah.
He's going to be frustrated with himself.
He's getting pretty pumped, isn't he, now, the server, Ben Bartram? For all of his efforts after approaching 35 minutes. The British number 3 has a set point. Well, rightly pleased with himself, lets out a little emotion, does Ben Bartram, as he snatches that opening set. 6 games to 4, having broken serve twice and only conceded his serve once. It's a really solid set of tennis from Ben Bartram, who'll be delighted with that because he was solid, that little bit more solid in the crunch. He was up against 1540 a number of times early in the set on his own delivery, but found a way through.
Absolutely, he just found a way to play the bigger points a little bit better, didn't he? Dannon Ward just gave away a few too many unforced errors, especially on the break points that he had. And again on that previous game there, the one at 30-40 missed that return long, whereas Bartram just was able to stay solid. He wasn't saying it wasn't spectacular, but he just maintained his level throughout.
And that'll feel pretty good when it's sat down halfway home under the shade of the umbrella. Umbrella's used for all the right reasons today.
Well, especially with how hot it is, it's always good to get that first set under your belt, because you've got that thinking where I don't have to win 2 more sets now, don't you? You've sort of got that first set under your belt. You're just thinking, I've got 1 more set to go. Pretty similar stats though, isn't it? Just the one that stands out. The first serve points won up at 81% compared to Ward's 66. And that you do feel that that was just the key difference, wasn't it? In those just couple of service games, just found a way to win those first serve points.
Fellow in the top right of your picture there, Mike Booth, used to be a top county player back in the day, and his brother Rob Booth used to play as well. They were 2 very prevalent top players in the Dorset County men's team for years. He's now coaching Andrew Penny from Alresford near Winchester. They play out of the performance program at David Lloyd Southampton, where I used to run the program for many years, as Mike was my sidekick as sort of vice assistant sort of coach. We ran a really big program there, working late into the evening, most evenings 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, with all the performance juniors around the area. Fantastic. Created several county and regional #1s, even national champions as well. Here we go then, start of set number 2. Can Dan and Ward make amends? Lovely 1-2 from Ward to open his account.
That's what happens though, isn't it? If you just don't quite get the width off the return, it just really opens up that space and is right into the slot. Been a bit of a pattern though this match, hasn't he? Sort of played a couple of good points and then just thrown in a sloppy error.
And you do sense priority #1 for this young man is to elevate that number of first serves landed. He's down around 40-odd% first serves in, and on a grass court that's got to get towards 60%, quite frankly, if he wants to turn this match. And when you add in 7 double faults on top.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the amount of points that he's winning behind the first serve, so he's sort of down 15% compared to Bartram.
Cleverly engineered there from Bartram. Both these explosive young British juniors, just 16 years of age, with a bright future. Interesting. You sense that perhaps Dannon in particular is going for like a top spin second serve rather than maybe a slice, and the margins have been fine. He's just been missing a few too many of those second serves as well, and it's been a little bit rhythmless from him. I sound like I'm doing him a disservice, but he has it 7, maybe 8 double faults right now. Perhaps he should be going with a slice a little bit more, because the ball will move off the court.
Stays lower as well, doesn't it?
Perfectly weighted backhand lob in response from Ward. Just in the nick of time there.
I bet he wishes he had that short ball back, didn't he? Just didn't do enough with it. I think he thought Ward was going to go one way, but he sort of held his ground in the middle of the court.
Just pulled off it, did Ben Bartram there. Easily done. Just trying to load up the pace. You sort of muscle at it a little bit.
It's a bit more of that slice second serve that you were talking about. It stayed a bit lower as well, didn't it?
Yes, yes. That's a big clunky forehand from the baseline from Ben Bartram.
It's that fast racket head speed you're talking about again, isn't it?
And there really isn't a lot between these two. You can see it, you know, and you can see that it's going to be a match won by the person who just tick boxes more percentages really on the day.
Especially when matches like this, like you say, there's not much between them in terms of level. It's just who can go out and execute their game plan. And at the moment, Dan Ward's just not quite doing it.
Yeah, he's overthinking, I think. He sort of changed his mind on that last forehand there.
Just pressing a bit too much, isn't he? Just feels like he's got to do a little bit more than he does actually need to do.
Clever response to the drop shot from Bartram. And he's on top again. It's a familiar look for the world #3 junior. I'll beg your pardon, British #3, I should say, as an adult. He's got quite a game, and he's just finding those slender margins that Denon isn't at the moment. That said, there's a long way to go yet, and Dan Ward shouldn't be dispirited. He must keep his head up and keep heading towards the sun, metaphorically, because he's a lot closer than he thinks. And I, for one, think that this is a turnable match if he can just, as I say, get a few more first serves in and just control his undulations in level a little.
That has been pretty much the story of the match, hasn't it? Bartram's been pretty steady, maintained that level, whereas Dan Ward's just been a little bit too up and down. But as you said, I definitely think that this can change around.
So we've been on court for approaching 3/4 of an hour now, and several people flocking courtside to catch a glimpse of these two. It certainly has been a more watchable second quarter-final, this one. We'll be bringing you 3 today. Next up will be Gerard, Andrew Penny, Seen a few of those, haven't we? Basically, where he's trying to get so much spin on the ball that he's leading the serve with the edge of the racket, and of course timing can be a challenge. Perfectly weighted from Dan Ward there as he got that ball obediently up and down onto the baseline with topspin. Good gap.
It's hard though when they throw the ball so far behind their head as well. You really have to try and generate that racket speed to bring the ball up and down.
Now the little bit of an encouragement that Dan Ward requires. An easy hold here would do his confidence the world of good. Beg your pardon, a break would be what he's after. He's got a second break point opportunity, Ward, here. Can he convert? Well, at the moment it's been sort of, big points slipping through his fingertips. Plenty of opportunity, but unable to do much with the biggest of points. And Ben Bartram there with a lot of kick on that serve. The ball seemed to kick like a mule.
But again, it's another error, wasn't it, on the return on a break point. At this little sort of level, you can't afford to do that. And again, another error off the return.
Players these days, though, Anna, more than yesteryear, will be practicing, spending a lot more time on serve and return, the two most important facets of able-bodied and disabled game.
Serve is the one thing that you can control, isn't it? The one shot in tennis that no one else can have control over.
Oh, that's really cleverly done. Perfectly weighted that time. Lovely slice, nice balance as well. Didn't overplay it. Been so close has been the story of his day so far, hasn't it?
So close, but yet so far. You just feel as if he can just rein it in a fraction.
Well, when you bear in mind as well that this is arguably the biggest match that these two have really played in terms of on the adult scene as well. There's, you know, there's so much at stake. There's £22,000 in terms of prize pot, or maybe dollars, that is, throughout this event. And all the publicity and media following as well. Oh, well done. Threaded the needle with the forehand pass, did Dan Ward there. So he does indeed. Break serve again to get back on terms early stages of set 2. Must be super grueling, pushing on the wheel rims, you know, for what might be an hour and a half, 2 hours worth in this kind of heat. Players build up calluses as well around their hands as a consequence of all that pushing. Well, it was a super improvised return of serve from Ben Bartram, but Dan Ward having the last laugh with a nice spiky forehand cross-court winner. He's got a big game, but it's just percentage that he's grappling with right now. Yeah, he had so many options there, didn't he? Got up to it nice and quickly.
I think that's the exciting thing, though, about both of these players out here. They've both got big games, they've both got big weapons, and it's just about trying to rein them in a little bit and just play a little bit more percentage tennis. But that's what happens in experience when you play more and more matches and training. That sort of match IQ builds up, doesn't it?
Yeah, and self-trust kind of comes in at this stage as well, doesn't it? You know, how much do these guys believe in themselves to cross the line? And that's very deep-seated and hard to come by. And confidence, as you're suggesting as well, is quite a fickle issue in tennis. It can be with you one moment and then gone in a heartbeat, and then you start to self-doubt a little. It's another break of serve, this time favouring Ben Bartram. That was a very quick service game from Ward. Almost as if he rushed it a little there. So Bartram again in the ascendancy. 2-1 in the second set. Well, I checked the forecast over the last couple of days out of interest, over, you know, regularly, and it seemed that for a while there was going to be some showers upcoming tomorrow and on Sunday, and then suddenly it got better and better. I haven't looked for a few hours, but I think it's the weather's set fair really nice. I'll treble check again right now, but yeah, so Saturday is again rain-free, absolutely stunning weather, highs of 25 anticipated. Sunday, possible 50% of a rain shower at 1, but other than that, slightly lower temperatures actually, highs of only 18.
I'm sure the players will appreciate slightly cooler conditions out here. It'll be interesting to see as well how the court plays. Today it's going to be a little bit quicker, but if they get cooler conditions, it might just make it a little bit slower. Struggling to hit through the court quite as much.
And as we gaze up longingly at those sort of properties adjacent here, your mind goes and sort of suggests, well, surely they're owned by tennis fans. Do you know what I mean? You often think that, don't you? But very rarely see people looking out of the windows watching the offerings.
It's a shame they don't, because a lot of obviously these backcourts here are used for practice from a lot of the players, so they're missing out on seeing some world-class tennis.
Yeah, you see Ben Bartram going with the kick serve. Gets a lot of purchase and brush right up the back of the ball, if you will, from 7 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning type of thing, if you're looking at a clock face in terms of ball contacted with this kick serve. Doesn't get as much work off a grass court as he would, say, a clay court or a hard court, where it would really jump a lot higher. But of course, you've got to be very loose in the wrist to execute that kind of skill. It's a very high level skill that he possesses.
It's also hard when there's a little bit more tension that the racket doesn't quite go as fast, does it?
Exactly. Well, both have notched 9 double faults now. They won't thank me for announcing that, but oh, that's a glorious backhand slice from Dannon Ward there. I thought that Bartram looked good with the change of pace, but he really didn't quite do enough with that penultimate forehand. And he got the treatment.
It's a shot that I think Ward can use a little bit more. I don't remember him losing a point when he's hit that backhand slice. He's able to disguise it really well.
Yeah, and he kind of gets it out of the strike zone of his opponent with that slice, doesn't he? Keeps the ball that little bit lower.
Got that element of disguise as well, doesn't he? There it is again, this time off the forehand side, getting the error.
I wonder if he's logged that, you know. When you're really in tune with your game and settled, you kind of internalize that and learn, don't you? But sometimes in these kind of moments where it means so much, you can be quite sort of scatty with your mind. I wonder if it's sunk in. Let's see what he does on this breakpoint opportunity. Well, he didn't need to do too much in the end, Dannon Ward there. He was gifted that one with another double fault from Ben Bartram. And it's almost as if Bartram, you kind of sense, is future pacing a little towards victory, and where he's actually just got to stay in the moment and just play. Easier said than done.
Just trying to think about the process, isn't it? It's so easy to think about the outcome and just inching towards the finish line.
And sometimes, of course, Anna, psychologically you can play to protect the lead, can't you, and be a little bit negative. But I don't see that in this case for Ben Bartram. He's been striking at the ball positively throughout. Oh, a swing and a miss. Don't see many of them. Now, how will he react to that, young Dannon Ward?
Had the full court, didn't he? He played the right point. Exactly what he wanted, and just push that backhand volley long.
Good response, but still a lot of work to do for Dannon. It's a handful of breaks of serve for young Ben Bartram here, who again takes a slender lead in through the belly of set 2. Set 3-2 he now leads. But that's been the easy part. The tough part is holding serve. It's a lovely area to sit there, isn't it? You've got that sort of bank of shade as a spectator to enjoy. A little bit of breeze whistling through as well. Seeing these two 16-year-olds go toe-to-toe, fighting off for a place in the last 4 here. A semi-final battle against Houday tomorrow lies in wait. A couple of the coaches enjoying the shade. Still a tough one to call, Anna, isn't it? It's sort of it's swinging all over the place.
I wouldn't say that anyone who has a break in a set is guaranteed to win it.
No, it's almost like you sense that you definitely need a double break in wheelchair tennis to get it done.
You need that safety blanket, don't you?
Yeah.
One thing I think is that neither players really use the momentum of the match well. You feel as if that once one of them has started to pick up a bit of momentum, you feel like as if you want them to try and keep rolling with it, but they just quite haven't been able to use it. They've sort of made a few errors. The opponent's played a bit better, but now can Bartram really start using that momentum, just get a game or 2 on the board, and like you say, get that double break up and just get that cushion.
Tell you what, it's been smooth sailing for the tournament director, Luis Carvalho, this week, hasn't it? So few issues to contend with in terms of weather. Keeping his job relatively straightforward. More British action will be happening on centre later after Tommy Paul finishes with Berrettini. They're late stages of set 1 on centre. Ryan Peniston, the British wildcard, who's into the quarterfinals for the first time, takes on Filip Krajanovic of Serbia. Good draw, really, for a place in the semis. And then, of course, for the winner of the able-bodied event, a cheque for £350,000 to the men's singles winner on Sunday. 500 world ranking points as well. Peniston still in the running. Could he? Oh, that's a pretty good service hold from Ben Bartram there. Much more convincing. Extending his lead to a set and 4-2 now then, just 2 games away. Here's Bartram. But all in all, it bodes very, very well for their bright future of British tennis. And really good to see that Alfie and Gordon, who are just tearing away with a 10th consecutive Grand Slam doubles title at the recent French Open.
As you said, though, the future of the sport's in good hands. And Ben, like Alfie, is from Norfolk. And when Ben was younger, he did have photos of Alfie on his bedroom. And then this year, they were both in the same GB Men's World Cup team together.
It's quite nice, isn't it, when you can follow somebody's journey and you've almost got like a sort of distant mentor that I'm sure he's met and played with and practiced with a lot along the way. Really encouraging.
One of his idols growing up. Someone I'm sure inspired him a lot. So then to be able to go and be on the same team as him, I'm sure it's quite a surreal experience.
Grappling with some inner demons right now, you sense Dannon Ward. He's been so close, but just unable to win the right points in this one. Suddenly he's under more pressure of 1540. You get to the stage in a match sometimes, Anna, where you just throw caution to the wind and think, do you know what, that's it, I'm in the shower in 10 minutes anyway, so I'm just going to go for it. And sometimes that can happen and things can change, but so far the dynamic has looked pretty same-ish, hasn't it? That's a horrible thing, isn't it, when you're bouncing the ball and suddenly you find like one of the, you know, you do it able-bodied as well, where it catches the end of your toe and goes trickling off.
Always tends to happen when things aren't quite going your way either in the score.
Oh, that's a punishing forehand return winner from Ben Bartram. And with that heady set and 5-2 lead, surely this match is done and dusted, you'd imagine, seeing what we've seen so far. Ben Bartram now really is in the driving seat, and his opponent Dannon Ward a speck in his rear view mirror. You'd imagine, given the context of what we've already seen, Anna, that this would take a very unusual dynamic to see Ben lose grip of this one at this stage, having won the last 4.
Especially with the double break as well.
Yeah.
Just got that safety blanket like we mentioned about having that double break. And you'd really just feel as if he's just got that bit between his teeth and he's not going to let it slip. It's going to take something special from Dannon Ward to be able to turn this around. And as you said, maybe it's time to really sort of let loose and be aggressive.
Hi.
Sort of last chance saloon.
He obviously likes his green, doesn't he, with his sort of neon grip and neon strings and green t-shirt. Well, it's worked well for him today. He's played some good ball, pretty solid, a little bit more solid than his opponent. But it's been a really watchable match, and really great to see two faces of the future on our screens for the first time. With the absence of Gordon Reid and Gustavo Fernandez, these two given a chance. Great to see. Young blood performing well. Now, what a way to open your account when you're serving for the match here on your first Queen's debut showing. I'm always fascinated, Anna, I'm sure you are as well, by how these guys sort of control themselves in these big moments. Trying to attack the lines judge there.
That's where the best players, I think, are able to sort of differentiate it. They just take each point as it comes, don't they? No matter what the score is, whether it's a big point, they just play it for its merit. They go out with a plan of what they want to try and do, and can they execute?
Good kick serve from Ben Bartram in response to 15-30. That was well managed. Now 2 points away from victory here, and what would be a 5th consecutive win over today's opponent. Another vicious serve delivery, bang down from Ben Bartram. And after an hour and 10 minutes, he brings up a match point. Again, that slice return from Dannon Ward, serving him so well. It just knifes through the court really quickly.
Hasn't used it enough, though, has he, throughout this match? Only used it sporadically, but won so many points.
Now, big chance for this young man to fight back into this match. That was the right choice. Just hit it too well. So to the sanctuary of juice we go. Good leave. Managed to just haul the chair backwards and put her in reverse pretty quickly there. It's a second match point then for Ben Bartram in this all-British clash. Raucous celebration from young Ben Bartram, who comes through this quarter-final all-British clash 6-4, 6-2 after an hour and 13 minutes. Enjoying 6 breaks of his opponent's serve and a 5th consecutive win to draw level at 5-all head-to-head with his dear friend and doubles partner Dannon Ward. So it's Ben Bartram through to the semi-finals. He'll take on Stefan Houday, the second seed, down at the bottom half of the draw. That'll be tomorrow, but he's done his job well. There were plenty of chances for Dannon Ward, but he himself unable to get them going his way today. So the match belongs to this young man, who really did find the edges that he needed on what was a tricky day.
Absolutely. Just found those crucial points at the crucial moments, and that was just the difference. Such fine margins in a match like this. Dannon Ward's just going to be a little bit disappointed with himself.
And it makes you wonder what Stefan Houday will be thinking, as he probably would have sort of snatched a glimpse of some of that match, I'm sure, in his downtime, having had his earlier win on this court just before. And he beat Thomas Dodds after retirement, 6-love, 1-love. There's the match summary, Anna.
Just first serve percentage, isn't it? When the first serve points won, just such a big difference. Down at 40% and only winning 45% compared to 80% by Bartram. It just makes such a difference, especially on grass, doesn't it? As soon as you can win points on the first serve, you're winning a high percentage, but it just really was a struggle today for Dannon Ward. Yeah,
and you'd imagine if he can just you know, control those double faults as well. They were into double figures. If he can negate that and get on top of his game and hit the ball as well as he does off the floor, he could, you know, really contest that semi-final against the second seed, Stefan Houday, of course, who's, you know, really uber experienced, but sort of, you know, perhaps the next generation might come through that clash. Our next match on court 5, Gerard takes on Andrew Penny, another Brit, 17 years of age, just 1 year older than the two that we've just watched. Gerard, though, a really burly, broad-shouldered Belgian who has a lot of game, so that will prove a challenging match for Andrew Penny. Don't go too far. That one will be up next on this glorious sun-kissed scene of court 5 here from the Queen's Club in West Kensington. And that was a really competitive match. Good to watch. But again, a straight game affair. 6-4, 6-2 going the way of Ben Bartram. So he inks his name into the last 4. Welcome back, tennis fans, to quarterfinals Friday, match 3 here on court 5. Joachim Gerard, reigning Wimbledon champion, taking on Andrew Penny of Great Britain, young 17-year-old, another up-and-coming junior. Nice touch with the high five from Joachim Gerard, offering that to young Andrew Penny. As this third quarter-final just about to get underway here on show court 5 from the Queen's Club, West Kensington. Joachim Gerard in our picture. As a twice Grand Slam singles champion, a 4 times doubles major champion, the 33-year-old Belgian, world number 7, takes on Andrew Penny of Great Britain, the world number 87, 17 years of age, from Alresford in Hampshire near Winchester. This a match from the bottom of the top half of the draw, where Alfie Hewitt, who received a bye in the opening round, lies in wait at the very top of the draw in the semi-finals. Now that's going to be a tough ask for Alfie Hewitt, you'd imagine, as well, playing the winner of this one, because they will be nicely tuned up, and Alfie will have to come in, well, not cold, because how can he come in cold on a day like this, or with these kind of temperatures? But, you know, under-tennised on perhaps a grass court. He'll be practicing on adjacent courts, no doubt, and trying to find his range, but there's nothing quite like match practice. As we take a look at the higher ranked of the two players, there's 80 spots between these two. This man, a real stalwart of the top 10. He's been a former world #1 in December 2016 as Joachim Gerard. He's broad-shouldered and burly, this Belgium, and a real brutal hitter of the tennis ball. 4 times wheelchair tennis masters singles champion between 2015 and 2019. There's not a lot he hasn't done. This year he's had 16 wins, only 9 losses. And as I say, he really does pack a punch. When you see him in the flesh, he's very, very broad-shouldered and thick-set, and he really does make quite a rip, quite a sound on contact with his vicious swipes at the ball. So it's going to be a tough ask for his opponent today, Andrew Penny, because this is obviously a first meeting between the two. And the young lad from Hampshire will have his hands full, that's for sure. Here he is, first showing of Andrew Penny. And aside from his international success, he ended 2021 by winning the men's singles at the LTA Wheelchair Tennis National Finals in Shrewsbury. And he also ended that year as winner of the men's singles trophy for the LTA National Wheelchair Tennis Series of tournaments, having amassed a huge points total from the tournaments in Loughborough, Newport, Shrewsbury, Grantham, Lee Valley, East London and Leeds. So he travels a lot, this young man, and he's a Hampshire hog through and through. He trains out of the David Lloyd Southampton Centre, which has a lovely 11 indoor courts, where I used to be head coach for a while, so I know it very, very well. I've not actually run into this young man because I left in 2016, and he's obviously subsequently joined and uses that as his facility, but he is coached by a dear friend of mine, Mike Booth, who is really very, very good manager of his program, I'm sure. Mike Booth, a very experienced coach from Dorset originally, and really knows what he's doing, long in the tooth in terms of coaching and experience, and he's in good hands, this young man. It'll be interesting to see how he responds against the might of this brute, the other end from Belgium, Anna.
Again, it's another one of those matches, isn't it, where youth plays experience. Is Andrew Penny going to have any weapons to be able to down the defensive Joachim Gerard?
He was a men's singles bronze medalist at Rio 2016, winning Belgium's first ever Paralympic wheelchair tennis medal. And he won the 2019 men's doubles title at the Queen's Club here, partnering Stefan Olsson, that big brute of a Swede. So he enjoys the grass, he likes the ball speeding on to him. But first off, Andrew Penny will have to deal with the oncoming pace of the serve of Joachim Gerard. Originally, Penny was a talented cricketer as well as a tennis player on his feet until July 2018. And he also contested LTA Junior County Cup matches before he had surgery. He actually had the removal of 2 ingrown toenails, which left him in a wheelchair, remarkably. He was in agony, unable to walk, and that was after the operation in October 2018. But it's great to see him doing something that he loves and re-engaging with the sport again. But he will have his hands full with this beast of a Belgian. So it's going to be the Belgian to get this third quarterfinal underway. Nicely dispatched. Again, the serve, the real dictating weapon of Joachim Gerard. Oh, nicely done. Take that. Took it very early, that forehand return. Again, the latest installment of the bottle bank gets taken away adjacent in the corporate hospitality sector.
First game.
Well, no surprises there. Gerard holding his serve to 15. Now, when we saw Ben Bartram ranked as the world #2 junior, this man, Andrew Penny, is the world #3 junior currently, the 17-year-old, just a year older than Bartram. How will he go against Joachim Gerard here? Can he hold serve and get some sort of traction? Very important game for young Andrew Penny then.
It's always important when you play a perceived bigger name or a bigger player that you don't try and overplay at the start. Really just try and put your game onto the court. Don't feel like you have to do too much.
Well, there again is a great sort of slice backhand from Gerard, just staying really low and skidding through the grass. Endorsing Coco Gauff's racket he is at the moment, by the looks of things, Gerard. Head with such an extensive range of frames for players to use.
40-50.
Lovely serve. He's got a nice rhythm, Andrew Penny, and that was a fine hold to 15, equaling the efforts of Joachim Gerard.
Nice to get on the board early, isn't it? Settle a few of those nerves down. And can he get stuck into this Gerard service game?
It's a really interesting sort of opportunity for this young man to see where he's at against a top tenor in the world.
As you said, these events are so good, especially for the likes of Dan and Ward and Ben Bartram as well. Like you say, to be able to test themselves against the best players in the world, see where their game stacks up, where their weaknesses are, what they need to do to improve.
Wow. Not the first time we've seen several aces from Joachim Gerard. He is so burly and strong around the shoulders and trunk. And he's got a nice sense of calm pre-serve as well, a stillness. Well done. Just stalled on the contact a little to see where Gerard was going to commit to. Well, that's a nice spiky forehand from Penny, who seems to be really engrossed in this one already. Just can't seem to get much traction on this big Belgian serve, Penny, at the moment. He's landing some heavy blows, is Joachim. Look at how early he took that. No nonsense forehand dispatch down the line from Gerard. He'll roll round to a 2-1 lead. Early days here in this first set. Yeah, so as I touched on in the warm-up between 2015 and 19, he won the year-end singles masters 4 times in 5 years, beating the likes of Cuneda and Alfie Hewitt. He's just tightening up his something on his chair there. These players carry a little kit bag with them, don't they, to make those sort of subtle adjustments as they need to.
Just look like tightening the knee support there a little bit and just moving a fraction too much in the chair.
When he's on, he's a sight to behold. He really is. So Penny's donned the shades. It's a tough end to serve at that. That's a really sensible choice from this 17-year-old. Now, can he hold on? And that's one of the features with Joachim Gerard. He likes to roll in and take it really, really early and take the server's time away immediately in the point.
Wants to put the pressure on straight away, doesn't he?
Yeah. Oh, it's a clever back behind. Clear thinking from the 17-year-old from Alsford. Yeah, he's got it with his little trick shot. That was Mansour Barami-like, wasn't it, that one? Funky side spin there.
Not sure that was out of the coach's textbook.
I'll have to have a word with Mike Booth about that.
Is that what he's been teaching him?
Trick shots. I'll tell you what, though, what I like from Andrew Penny is this clear thinking. The changes of pace are quite substantial, and at the moment it's keeping Gerard guessing, which is really encouraging.
Well, as you said, it's not about having to play lights out tennis, is it? Can you just play really solid tennis and ask Gerard some questions? And at the moment he is.
I'm with you. So many players go on and think they've got to win tennis matches, but if you just can, you know, not lose them, then that's the kind of mindset that really does help. You know, takes the pressure off yourself.
Just play high percentage tennis that you know you can do point in and point out. As you say, I think players go in and try and hit the players off the court, and it's really not a tactic that they can sustain.
Incredible. High skill level return and serve there from Andrew Penny. Was pleased with that. He seems to have a lot in the toolkit, this young man. Very encouraging to watch. It's almost like he's playing doubles there, wasn't it? With, you know, talking to a sort of an imaginary partner alongside, shielding his words behind his wrist. Nicely dispatched. He didn't have a lot of incoming pace there, Gerard, to deal with, so that was really well put away. Yeah, loaded with spin, rainbow-like in its trajectory, that one. There's plenty of safety to his game when he needs. Loud, raucous cry of out, and that marks the Belgian with a slender one-game advantage at 3-2 opening set. The world number 7 narrowly leading the way here. No breaks of serve as yet. Very solid start from both.
It has been not a lot of errors. Both players going out and winning the points. But Penny will be really pleased with it, the way he started these opening 5 games.
We touched on the fact that the top half looks a little bit stronger than the bottom half, simply because Gerard as a top tenor is far higher than any of the British lads down below. Alfie Hewitt projected to play Gerard in the semi-final should the Belgian come through this one, but good early impressions here from young Andrew Penny. Might he be able to somehow cause the upset? Tell you what, he's got a quirky sort of creativity to his game that I, for one, really am enjoying.
As am I. It's nice to see when players are able to use that variety. I think it's so often that you see players where it's just sort of a big game, but being able to mix in the slice.
And then you see the no-nonsense response from Gerard, as if to say, stop that nonsense, I'm just going to cuff it away early.
Exactly. That is the danger, though, when you sort of try and be a bit too cute sometimes.
Radar a little bit off with that second serve. We haven't seen many of them so far. It's been pretty watertight. Now is this where the Belgian starts to turn the screw? Oh, and again, the down-the-line backhand winner this time, showing his versatility, Gerard. Looking very strong in this return game. Couple of big points.
That's where he uses his pace and his strength, isn't it, to overpower his opponent.
Penny yields a service break in favour of Gerard. He suddenly is sat there looking pretty relaxed right now. That was a great return game. Made life quite difficult for the Brit. First break in this contest. Players are creatures of habit, we know that, and we like to watch their little quirky rituals. This man's got a lovely stillness pre-serve that I really like. Look at the relaxation there. Over audacious, wasn't he?
Tried to do too much with it.
Tell me a tennis player who's not done that.
I can remember quite a few times where I've done that as well.
Yeah.
Far too tempting, isn't it? But as you said, something that's really nice about Gerard is that routine that he has before each serve. Just make sure he takes his time. It's all too often that players tend to rush in between first serves and the second serve.
Again, clever serve, got up really high on Andrew Penny there on the backhand side. Not easy to deal with. Well, you might have heard the British number 7 being announced onto court. Ryan Peniston at the very top of the draw. Big roar of delight as he is just about to take on Filip Krajinovic of Serbia. Third match of the day on centre. British tennis, Anna, really is booming right now, isn't it? So many players abounding. The programmes are just full of them. It's great.
It's in such a strong place, isn't it? Every aspect of British tennis. You look at the men's, women's, wheelchair doubles as well. There's strength in depth everywhere.
Interesting, because they had Scott Lloyd from the LTA chief executive was on with Sue Barker in the BBC studio yesterday, and they were talking about his investment in the performance calendar and domestic tournaments, which have just gone through the roof, and good stock of courts in parks in the UK now that we're blessed with. 2,000 park courts back into use. 7 million the LTA have invested, 20 million from the government to reinvigorate our resource. And, you know, for example, my local courts, I can go down there, I get family membership, as do many people, £35 a year for the family.
That's incredible.
Yeah, incredible. Accessibility and membership for all, you know. And the LTA are going into schools, youth programs as well, Girl Guides and Scouts. They are cracking it right now, and it's all because of the vision mainly of Scott Lloyd and his team. And I think it's just a fantastic thing. They really have evolved into something very, very good. And of course now the drive for inclusivity as well, opening up this sport more to blind and deaf. It's astonishing. British tennis is booming right now. Really good to see.
And also I know the junior calendar is something that I work with, a 12 and under age group in the pathway. The calendar that we have and the amount of tournaments, the Tennis Europe events, the ITFs that we've got on, is incredible. It's been a calendar that we haven't had for many, many years, which just opens the door, as you say, to more juniors up and coming. It just makes British tennis stronger and stronger.
That's a clever response from Andrew Penny, who's far from done with this opening set yet. I had to laugh as well when they interviewed Tommy Paul courtside after his win yesterday, and he sort of said, you know, John Infantile suggested, you know, that tennis follows the Sunshine Tour. But you know, how do you consider this? Is this warm or hot to you? He said, it's only warm. It's not too hot at all. And, you know, they're used to it, these guys, aren't they?
They really are.
Well, he's trying to be inventive in his defence, Andrew Penny. He knows he can't put the serve in the strike zone of Gerard, so he's trying to put little subtle spins and changing the speeds and trajectory of the ball. That's what that double fault was all about. So far, he's acquitted himself really well out here.
15-30.
Well, a trio of double faults now from Andrew Penny. And after just over 20 minutes, it's the world number 7 with 2 set points. Gerard just running into that, rolling into that, getting a little tangled. Good serve, a lot of movement on it from Penny. Encouraging. Needs another similar. There it is, the backhand down the line from Gerard, taking those returns early. He's an imposing game. Couple that with a very big serve, and the world number 7 is off to a flyer. 6-2 first set for the Belgian.
Impressive stuff, wasn't it? Just stayed calm throughout that whole set, just maintained his level, didn't do anything special. Figured out how Penny was playing and just used his power to overpower him, didn't he?
Yeah, and well, there's a stat for me. Look, you know, over halfway down that left-hand graphic, second serve points 1 for Gerard. Look at that. Tells its own story, doesn't it?
100%, and also first serve percentage in 85%.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much better than that, does it? Especially on a grass court. That's really one of the first things that you look to do when you come out here. Can we get high percentage of first serves?
And he's not done a bad job, has he? Penny at 55%. That's not, you know, that's not bad at all.
Not at all. Just not been able to back it up, is he? Getting 55% in, but only winning 54% behind that first serve. He's got to try and change that in the second set. But the problem is that when Gerard starts understanding how Penny plays, the sort of slices, the spins he tries to use, and he's starting to read it, what has Penny got to back up that, to change it up, mix it up a little bit? Is he able to try and hit through Gerard? I'm not sure that he is at the moment.
So start of set number 2 then. Joachim Gerard a set to the good, halfway home. Semi-final spot on the line for these two. First blemish against the Belgian's name on serve. To his credit, though, he's redeemed himself with a couple of aces already. He's very ritualistic, isn't he? He's very sort of elegant the way he keeps himself, and everything's immaculate. Gerard.
Such a big thing, though, isn't it? Part of tennis routines. Just maintains that level of calm, something that you can go back to after every single point, rather than it being almost a bit of an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, that sense of comfort and control is really all you've got out there, isn't it? Along with your thoughts that can sometimes work against you. Something that you, as a pro athlete, learn to control pretty well to give yourself the best chance of high performance. So Penny invested in this return game nicely. Little slither of light here for the Brit. Too big from the Belgian. What a response from 30 all, and having hit a double fault in that game, there was no lapsing at all. He redoubled his efforts and his concentration, and that was a really strong finish to what was started out as a laboured service game. Good hold from Joachim Gerard. Wheeling round with authority. He's a big heavy frame, but he uses all of his power and harnesses his skills really efficiently. Taken ownership out here. Now, how will young Andrew Penny, the 17-year-old from Hampshire, respond? Yeah, just a little wide. Will his head go down, or will he get stuck in now? His coaches and mentors looking for character and fight. really do like that forehand. The way he comes around the side of the board as well as up the back of it.
Able to break the tram line, isn't he? I think the thing is, when you play against someone like Gerard or sort of the Hewitts, the Reeds, the Houdays, is if you haven't played against that level before, are you able to maintain that level? That's the one thing. It's all well and good doing it for a set, but then are you able to keep going for 2 sets, 3 sets? That's the thing, especially for these younger players. They're not necessarily used to that intensity that these guys bring.
Yeah, I like what you said. It's kind of sustained intensity, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Kind of lacking often.
And that's why you see them, when it comes sort of down to a set, they can get pretty close, but are they able to maintain that physicality, that sort of level over a prolonged period of time?
In this heat as well. Well, they're creeping in, aren't they, the unforced errors every now and then, almost like he really is feeling the heat and the pressure from the other end. But Gerard is outstanding in serve and return, always has been. Good serve, nice and deep, plenty of kick on it. Hauls the game back to deuce. Now he has to hold on here, you think, with the scoreline being as it is. And he needs to get some traction early in this second set. Not far off of a terrific serve, that one. Kind of decelerated through the contact point there, and he's got game, this young man, but I don't think Gerard's going to let him put it on display today too much. Again, a well-handled serve from Penny. Knows what he wants. He's after the ball with the least snap on it, so it flies through the air quicker. He will only play when he's ready, I get that. Take that again. One of those banging forehands from Gerard that we've seen a lot of on our TV screens over the years.
Uses the momentum well, doesn't he, as well?
Yes.
Just moving forward, rolling into that ball.
And the subtle little change up with the dink slice there.
Just stays so calm in it, isn't he? No matter what movement he's doing going to the ball, he's able to hit a variety of different shots.
A trio of breaks of Andrew Penny serve now. He's right up against it because Joachim Gerard, one of those top 10 players that really does enjoy running or rolling with a lead. Good front runner with all the game that he brings. And I think, Anna, you would agree probably that the complexion of this match is starting to look a little bit one-sided.
There's been a shift, hasn't there?
He's doing the basics that little bit more solidly.
That is the one important thing, though, in tennis, isn't it? If you can do the basics well, you give yourself the best chance of winning.
Yeah, just too much on the serve.
15.
Starting to try and do a little bit too much as well with the ground strokes, isn't he? Just the error starting to creep in.
Stunning. Great end range control at the end of his roll there. Really clever from Gerard, who's onto that drop shot from Penny in a flash.
Just getting a little bit predictable, isn't it? He's able to start reading what he's doing. In that first set, those drop shots were working.
Well, he's a tough man to hit through, isn't he? Which means that he can sort of smother that presence on the baseline, taking it early. He doesn't roll into retreat too often, Gerard. So it's very, very hard to combat that. However, there's been a few little double faults, 3 of them from Gerard. It's funny, the noise you hear is the rattlings on his chair because of his heavy frame, but the person who rattles the most for me is Gustavo Fernandez, who sadly isn't here because he's so entertaining to watch. He's like Muscle Man, for those of you that haven't seen him. If you're unfamiliar, he is the wheelchair Popeye. Muscles coming out everywhere, and you should have seen him at the French Open, Anna. He was just brimming, bristling with muscle. Even bigger.
I didn't think that was even possible.
No.
40-30.
He's obviously been eating a lot of spinach.
I think I might have to start as well.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, he was on a tear going into the French Open, Gustavo Fernandez. Won a couple of back-to-back tournaments and was looking good. Made the final, but Cuneda, with all of his experience, found a way through in the end. It was an 8th French Open title for Shingo. Just missed. Joachim Gerard in the driving seat here. A 7-3 love to the good, rolling along nicely in the London sunshine. He's not done a lot wrong as we approach 35 minutes of play. I'm pretty sure it was Joachim Gerard that lost in the final last year to Gordon Reed. And it was a good match, but Gordon was really clever with the way that he used all of his sort of slices and his guile and his left-handedness.
To pull him out of the tram lines, wasn't
yeah.
he? Sort of open up the court.
Yes, that's right. Says he prefers clay, Joachim Gerard. Hard to believe, isn't it? I'm sure he likes a grass court as well. Probably because it's his most exposed surface. Spent most time playing on it, I guess. That and indoors in Belgium.
Can't really think of a surface that wouldn't suit his game, to be honest.
He's great on indoor hard as well because he just clouts the ball with such authority. He's always got the upper hand in the point.
Same on the clay as well, just that the amount of strength that he has and the spin that he's able to put on the ball. He's got to be kicking off the court as well.
He's had a couple of wounding defeats to Stefan Houday in the last few tournaments, French Riviera Open quarterfinals, and also in Roland Garros first round as well, Gerard. So he'll be looking to make amends if he does get through and possibly face Houday in the final. Who knows? Another break point though for the Belgian. Oh, nice.
Put a little bit of extra racket head speed onto that one, didn't he? Oh, it's never coming back.
More opportunity then to push the scoreline towards home for Joachim Gerard. Oh, yes. Clean past Andrew Penny when he came into the net there. Gerard now 2 games away. Looking very relaxed in the 3:30 sun here at Queen's. It's been a glorious day. And he has been very businesslike today, very purposeful in his demeanour. There's been no looking around. He's kept his eyes down on the job at hand. Very efficient performance. Well, this is Gerard at his bullying best right now, just bossing his service games and causing havoc in return games. Another spiky ace down the tee, and it's just one more game to go for the world number 7. Steep learning curve though for his opponent today. Andrew Penny can take heart and take a lot of good positives away from this, but primarily I would suggest that he works a little bit more on his serve and return, because they has served this man so well over the years, and it's been such a fruitful wheelchair career for Joachim Gerard on that basis. Just brings so much to hurt you with, doesn't he? And it keeps the game really simple. You don't see him imbued in really long, tenacious, drawn-out rallies. It's just bang, bang, and he's all over it.
Just has a very clear style of what he wants to bring out there, doesn't he? He knows that he He's looking to get the first strike in the rallies.
Time.
And he just keeps it simple, as you say. With Penny, you feel as if he's almost got a few too many weapons. He hasn't quite figured out sort of what his game style is and what he's going to do moving forward. But as you say, absolutely keep improving that serve and the return.
Yeah, in his defence as well, he's only 17 years of age, isn't he? He will mature and evolve nicely. His opponent, 33 years, so almost, you know, double his age and experience. So that will come. Today's been a good learning process for this young man. Can he hold on here and extend his stay at Queen's? It's been a nice day out, but brief so far.
Not 15.
Well, he almost got out of there quicker than he'd hit to finish the service action, didn't he? But it must be like that when you're anxious about the quality of return of serve from the other end. You must think, oh, I better get onto this, otherwise it'll speed past me.
You have to make sure that you commit to the shot and hit the shot first before working on the recovery.
Yeah.
We've all done that mistake when we're playing a big hitter. We almost think about the next ball rather than actually committing and getting the quality on that first shot.
Suddenly, it's unravelling a little too fast for the liking of Penny. Gerard then with 2 match points. Gerard imposing his will. The world number 7 and former world number 1 eases past Andrew Penny in the end. 6-2, 6 love in just under 3/4 of an hour of action out here on 5. He was in mercenary mood today, not showing too much charity, very businesslike, and saving all of his resource seemingly, because he inks his name into the semi-final spot where tomorrow he'll be up against the top seed Alfie Hewitt, and that will be a really watchable semi-final battle. 6-2, 6 love, he comes through and engineered 5 breaks of serve over the British 17-year-old.
Just solid stats, isn't it? Nothing too impressive, but just everything exactly where it should be. Good first serve percentage, good percentage of first serve points won, and you just look at the number of points won overall, 53 to 29. Just shows how dominant he was, and Penny really struggled on the return games, wasn't even able to create 1 break point. But again, we just talk about it just being a learning curve. What can he take from this match to keep him moving forward, work in practice, and come back next year even better? He's still so young as well. We've got to remember, 17 years old. He's got so much ahead of him.
Absolutely, and interestingly, the Brits that lost today, it was that double fault column, wasn't it, where the errors had come. So, you know, if they can just tidy up and hone their skills in the serve and return department, they're going to be looking good, because ball for ball, baseline strikes, they're really on it, and there's some nice creativity. So very encouraging from British fans' perspective. Like you say, the pack are young, but they're hunting nicely and moving forward well. And we've still got 1 Brit in the last 4, Ben Bartram, who marched through against Alan Ward. He'll take on Houday tomorrow. It'll be Alfie Hewitt against Gerard in the top half semi-final. So that completes our lineup for the semi-finals tomorrow. And that's pretty much it from Anna Smith and myself, Paul Hand. Thanks for your company. Do join us tomorrow. I'm pretty sure it's a midday start again. And just watch Joachim Wihlström wheel himself off court. Very businesslike. He'll be pleased to get on and off on this blisteringly hot day. An efficient display and a great quarterfinals Friday. So we bid you farewell. Enjoy your evening, and we will see you tomorrow for the 2 semi-finals of the singles and 2 semi-finals of the wheelchair doubles as well. Bye for now.